The Galactic Archaeological Society prided itself on maintaining emotional distance from its discoveries. Scientific detachment was, after all, the cornerstone of proper research. But when senior researcher Vextal first laid eyes on the massive human warship drifting in the void between the Carina and Sagittarius arms, even their carefully cultivated professional demeanor crackled with excitement. "Another primitive human relic," sneered assistant researcher Kilnor, their antenna twitching with barely concealed disdain. "I fail to see why Central Command insisted we investigate this particular piece of space debris." Vextal's outer membrane rippled with irritation at their junior colleague's dismissiveness. True, the vessel bore all the hallmarks of early human military design: brutal angles, exposed weapon hardpoints, and armor plating that looked absurdly thick by modern standards. But something about it called to their scientific instincts. "Observe more carefully," Vextal chided, gesturing with a primary appendage at their ship sensor readouts. "Notice how the hull composition doesn't match any known human metallurgical capabilities from this era. And these energy readings, they're impossibly low for a derelict of this size." The research vessel's lights cast eerie shadows across the ancient warship's scarred hull as they matched velocity with the derelict. Massive missile tubes gaped like hungry mouths, while point defense turrets tracked their approach despite centuries of apparent abandonment. The ship was easily twice the size of their research vessel, its silhouette a stark reminder of humanity's martial nature. "Central Command believes this may be prototype technology," Vextal continued, their voice dropping to a reverent whisper. "Something developed during the final days before humanity's mysterious withdrawal from galactic affairs." That got Kilnor's attention. The younger researcher's dismissive posture shifted to one of keen interest. "The Great Retreat? But that was over 300 cycles ago. Surely any technology from that era would be hopelessly obsolete." "Perhaps. Or perhaps we're about to discover why humanity chose to withdraw when they were at the height of their expansion." Vextal initiated the docking sequence, their manipulators dancing across the control surfaces with practiced ease. Their departure never made sense to our analysts. A species doesn't simply abandon centuries of colonial development without reason. The research vessel's docking tube extended with a pneumatic hiss, seeking purchase on the human warship's external airlock. The connection was surprisingly smooth for such an old vessel, another oddity that set Vextal's scientific instincts tingling. This ship had been maintained, or at least preserved, far better than its age would suggest. "Environmental readings are within acceptable parameters," reported their ship's AI. "Atmosphere is present but thin. Internal temperature is significantly below normal operating range." "Excellent." Vextal gathered their sampling kit and motioned for Kilnor to do the same. "We'll start with a standard exploration pattern. Remember your training, human vessels often contained unexpected defensive measures." As they cycled through the airlock, Vextal couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The sensation only intensified as they made their way through the darkened corridors, their helmet lights casting sharp shadows across abandoned crew stations and empty weapons lockers. The ship's design was oddly efficient, lacking the ceremonial spaces and aesthetic flourishes common to most species' military vessels. Every square meter seemed dedicated to a practical purpose: combat, maintenance, or crew survival. It spoke to a mindset focused purely on martial effectiveness, yet with an elegance that belied its apparent age. "These systems," Kilnor muttered, scanning a bank of dormant computers. "They're unlike anything in our historical database. The architecture is organic somehow. Almost as if dash." A low hum suddenly permeated the ship, cutting off Kilnor's observation. Status lights that had been dark for centuries began to flicker to life, casting the corridor in a soft blue glow. The deck plates beneath their feet vibrated with awakening power. "Impossible," breathed Kilnor, their antenna rigid with shock. "These systems should be long dead." Vextal's response died in their throat as a holographic interface materialized before them, displaying symbols in an ancient human military script. The characters shifted and changed, eventually resolving into modern galactic standard. Autonomous defense system active. Unknown entities detected. Initiating containment protocols. Fascinating, Vextal managed, even as emergency bulkheads slammed shut around them. It seems our primitive human relic has some fight left in it after all. In the darkness of space, unnoticed by the trapped researchers, an encrypted quantum transmission burst from the ancient warship, racing across the void toward coordinates that hadn't appeared on any star chart for 3 centuries, coordinates that marked the beginning of human space. The message was simple: the sleeper has awakened. They have returned. The ship's artificial gravity suddenly shifted, causing Vextal and Kilnor to stumble as their own mass seemed to fluctuate. Around them, the ancient vessel systems continued their impossible awakening, each activation revealing capabilities that shouldn't exist in a ship of this era. This defies all known laws of technological progression, Kilnor whispered, their scientific skepticism warring with the evidence before them. These systems, they're not just advanced, they're adaptive. Vextal watched in fascination as the ship's internal architecture began to reconfigure itself. Walls shifted like liquid metal, corridors realigned, and new chambers materialized where empty space had been moments before. The vessel wasn't just awakening, it was evolving. Look at these readings, Vextal gestured to their portable scanner. The power signature isn't coming from any conventional reactor. It's as if the entire hull is generating energy, but there's no mechanism I can identify that would explain how. A sudden burst of static filled their comms, resolving into a voice that spoke in perfectly modulated galactic standard, genetic analysis complete. Species identified, Zentari. Threat assessment, minimal. Adjusting containment protocols accordingly. The voice was neither male nor female, yet carried an unmistakable note of authority. It was the ship's AI, but unlike any artificial intelligence the researchers had encountered before. It didn't simply process and respond, it analyzed and adapted. This is Senior Researcher Vextal of the Galactic Archaeological Society, Vextal announced, their professional training taking over. We mean no harm. We are here to study and learn. Intent noted, the AI responded. However, protocols are clear. This vessel's capabilities must remain restricted to authorized personnel only. Your presence has triggered automated defense measures that cannot be countermanded without proper authentication. Kilnor's antenna twitched nervously. Proper authentication. But humanity hasn't been seen in galactic space for centuries. How could anyone possibly dash? The AI interrupted, its tone shifting to something almost amused, incorrect. Humanity has not been absent. Humanity has been watching. Waiting. Preparing. The implications of that statement sent chills through both researchers' neural networks. If this ship was any indication of human technological capabilities 3 centuries ago, what heights had they reached since their apparent withdrawal? The vessel you see is not, as you assumed, a relic, the AI continued. It is a sentinel. One of many placed throughout the galaxy to monitor, analyze, and report. Your discovery was not accidental. It was inevitable. As if to emphasize this point, holographic displays materialized around them, showing thousands of similar ships scattered across the galaxy. Each one appeared dormant, waiting for some unknown signal to awaken. Impossible, Kilnor breathed. Our detection systems would have found them. Your detection systems see what they are permitted to see, the AI corrected. Human technology did not stagnate during our absence. It transcended. Vextal's scientific mind raced with the implications. Every assumption about human technological capabilities had been wrong. Their apparent primitive nature had been a carefully constructed facade. The ship shuddered, and new systems began to activate. Panels that had appeared to be solid metal became transparent, revealing layers of technology that defied analysis. The vessel's hull seemed to ripple, its surface shifting like the scales of some massive creature. Receiving authentication signal, the AI announced. Primary systems now entering active status. Please remain calm during the transition. Transition? Vextal asked, but their question was answered by the ship itself. The entire vessel seemed to phase shift, its structure becoming simultaneously solid and fluid. Energy patterns that had been dormant for centuries burst into life, forming complex geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Through their research vessel's windows, they watched in awe as the human warship's true form emerged. The brutal, primitive design melted away, revealing sleek lines and impossible geometries. What had appeared to be simple weapon hardpoints transformed into systems that defied classification. By the first stars, Kilnor whispered. What are we witnessing? The end of an era, the AI responded simply. Humanity's patience has reached its limit. The time for hiding has passed. In that moment, Vextal understood the true purpose of their discovery. They weren't here to study history, they were here to witness its rebirth. The galaxy had grown complacent in humanity's absence, believing them to be a minor species that had reached too far and retreated in failure. How wrong they had been. A new signal pulsed from the ship, stronger than the first. Across the galaxy, other sentinels would be awakening, each revealing the truth about humanity's capabilities. The message was clear, humanity hadn't withdrawn in weakness, but in preparation. And now, after centuries of silent observation and advancement, they were ready to return. The galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council chambers had never been so chaotic. Representatives from 100 species shouted over one another, their voices blending into a cacophony of fear and outrage. The news of the human sentinel ship's awakening had spread faster than a quantum wave, sending shockwaves through every civilization in known space. High Chancellor Zexthor, their crystalline form glowing with stress patterns, attempted to restore order. Silence. Their amplified voice reverberated through the chamber, finally bringing a semblance of quiet. The evidence is undeniable, they continued, gesturing to the holographic display showing the transformed human vessel. What we thought was a primitive warship was merely a shell, concealing technology that surpasses our most advanced theoretical models. The Mechanoid Collective's representative, a shifting mass of nanites in roughly humanoid form, spoke first. Our analysis of the sensor data is disturbing. The vessel's power generation systems appear to manipulate fundamental forces we previously thought immutable. This suggests human technology has evolved beyond our current understanding of physics itself. That's impossible. The Vraxian delegate's scales bristled with agitation. No species could advance so far in mere centuries. They must have had help. Outside interference. A quiet voice cut through the renewed chaos, silencing the chamber once more. It belonged to ancient scholar Tal, one of the few remaining members of the species that had first encountered humanity. You all forget, Tal's ancient voice rasped, what made humans truly dangerous was never their technology. It was their adaptability. Their creativity. Their absolute refusal to accept defeat. The holographic display shifted, showing historical footage from humanity's last known conflict, the Battle of Proxima Centauri. What had seemed like a desperate last stand by an outmatched species now took on new meaning. Look closely, Tal continued. Their retreat wasn't a retreat at all. It was tactical. Every loss they suffered, every battle they appeared to abandon, they were studying us. Learning our weaknesses. Testing our responses. The footage showed human ships taking damage that should have destroyed them, yet somehow staying intact. What had appeared to be lucky survivals now revealed themselves as deliberate demonstrations of hidden capabilities. The humans have a saying, Tal added, their voice heavy with warning. The best place to hide is in plain sight. We saw what we expected to see, a young, aggressive species pushing beyond their capabilities. We never questioned why they would expand so rapidly, so obviously, drawing attention to themselves. The hive mind collective's representative pulsed with agitation. Our preliminary calculations suggest there could be thousands of these sentinel ships throughout the galaxy. Each one capable of capabilities we cannot counter. Each one watching. Waiting. And now they're awakening, the High Chancellor finished. The question is, why now? What has changed? As if in answer, every display in the chamber suddenly activated, showing the same image, a human figure, dressed in what appeared to be a simple military uniform. When it spoke, its voice carried both authority and an undercurrent of amusement. Greetings, Galactic Council. I am Admiral Sarah Chen, Commander of the Human Expeditionary Force. We apologize for our extended absence, but it was necessary to complete our preparations. The council chamber erupted in murmurs. No one had expected direct contact so soon. For 3 centuries, we have watched your civilizations grow, adapt, and interact. We have observed your wars, your alliances, your technological developments. We have seen how you treat emerging species, how you handle internal conflicts, how you define and enforce justice. The Admiral's expression hardened slightly. We have seen enough. The time has come for humanity to rejoin galactic society, not as supplicants or equals, but as guardians. Guardians? The High Chancellor's crystalline form flickered with confusion. What gives humanity the right to dash? The right? Admiral Chen interrupted, her smile now carrying an edge. Rights are earned through capability and demonstrated responsibility. While you've been fighting amongst yourselves, we've been preparing to protect this galaxy from threats you haven't even discovered yet. The hologram expanded, showing vast fleets of ships emerging from previously unknown regions of space. Each vessel demonstrated the same impossible technology as the Sentinel ship, but on a scale that defied comprehension. This is not a conquest, the Admiral continued. This is an intervention. Humanity has evolved beyond the need for territorial expansion or resource acquisition. What we seek now is stability. Order. Protection for all species, not just the powerful few. The council chamber had fallen completely silent, every representative transfixed by the display of power before them. The Sentinels were just the beginning, our way of maintaining awareness while we completed our transformation. Now, we offer you a choice: accept our protection and guidance, or continue on your current path toward inevitable conflict and destruction. As the Admiral's hologram faded, the council erupted once again. But beneath the chaos and fear, there was a growing recognition: the galaxy as they knew it had ended. A new era was beginning, one shaped by a species they had foolishly dismissed as primitive. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, thousands more Sentinel ships continued their ancient watch, waiting for the signal to reveal their true nature. The transformation of human space happened in a matter of hours. Regions that had been labeled as abandoned or restricted on galactic maps for centuries suddenly blazed with activity. What appeared to be empty void between stars revealed itself to be vast networks of technology that had been hidden in dimensional pockets beyond conventional detection. On the bridge of the Galactic Council's flagship, High Chancellor Zexthor watched in stunned silence as humanity's true empire unveiled itself. The display showed countless structures emerging from their hidden state, massive shipyards, defense platforms, and installations that defied classification. It's beautiful, isn't it? The voice made the High Chancellor turn. Admiral Chen stood there in person now, not as a hologram. Her presence was both commanding and eerily calm. The human wore what appeared to be a simple uniform, but subtle shifts in its fabric suggested technology far beyond anything the council possessed. How? Zexthor's crystalline form pulsed with confused colors. How did you hide all of this? Dimension folding, Chen replied casually, as if discussing the weather. We discovered early on that the best way to advance wasn't to push outward, but to push inward. To find spaces between spaces. Your civilizations look for expansion in 3 dimensions. We learn to exist in 12. Around them, the bridge crew worked frantically to process the flood of new data as more human installations revealed themselves. Each revelation brought fresh surprises: manufacturing centers that could produce ships in hours, energy collectors that harvested power directly from quantum fluctuations, and defense systems that seemed to bend reality itself. But the Sentinel ships, Zexthor began, were a test. Chen finished. We needed to understand how your civilizations would react to the discovery of advanced technology. Would you try to steal it? Destroy it? Study it? Your responses told us everything we needed to know about your species' true nature. A new alert drew their attention. The main display showed a massive structure emerging from what had appeared to be a standard star system. It was a sphere the size of a small moon, but its surface was covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. That, Chen said with evident pride, is just one of our processing centers. It contains more computational power than all other galactic civilizations combined. We've been using them to simulate possible futures, to determine the best path forward for all species, not just humanity. The High Chancellor's crystalline form darkened with realization. You've been guiding us all this time. To a degree, Chen acknowledged. Small nudges here and there. Preventing catastrophic wars. Steering development away from dangerous paths. We couldn't intervene directly without revealing ourselves, but we could suggest better options. A new series of holograms appeared, showing historical events from the past 3 centuries. Diplomatic breakthroughs that had seemed miraculous, technological advances that had come at crucial moments, peace treaties that had prevented genocidal wars, all subtly influenced by human intervention. But why reveal yourselves now? Zexthor asked. What's changed? Admiral Chen's expression turned grave. Something's coming. Something that requires us to stop hiding and take direct action. Our simulations show a 99.9% probability of galactic extinction within the next century if we don't intervene openly. The Admiral gestured, and a new hologram appeared. It showed what appeared to be tears in the fabric of space itself, slowly spreading across the galaxy like cracks in glass. Reality itself is becoming unstable, Chen explained. The result of unchecked use of certain technologies by various species. Technologies we abandoned centuries ago when we discovered their true cost. But we can't fix this through subtle manipulation anymore. We need direct cooperation from all spacefaring species. Around them, the bridge crew had stopped pretending to work, all attention focused on the human admiral and her revelations. This isn't about conquest or control, Chen continued. It's about survival. We've spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment, developing technologies and strategies that can save not just humanity, but all sentient life. She turned to face the High Chancellor directly. The question is, will you work with us? Will you help us save everything we've all built? Or will pride and fear prevent you from accepting the help you need? The weight of the moment pressed down on Zexthor like a physical force. In their crystalline core, they knew this was the most important decision they would ever make, not just for themselves, but for every species in the galaxy. And somewhere, in the spaces between spaces that humanity had learned to inhabit, ancient machines continued their calculations, simulating possible futures and preparing for what was to come. The game of hide and seek was over. Now, the real work could begin. One standard galactic year after humanity's return, the face of civilization had changed beyond recognition. The Galactic Council Chamber, once a place of political maneuvering and species rivalry, had been transformed into something far more significant, the Joint Species Defense Command. High Chancellor Zexthor stood beside Admiral Chen, watching as representatives from every spacefaring race worked together at stations designed by human engineers. The technology they used was a hybrid, a careful blend of human advancement and familiar interfaces that allowed all species to contribute meaningfully. The rifts are spreading faster than initially projected, a Vraxian scientist reported, their scales shifting with concern as they manipulated a holographic display of the galaxy. But the containment protocols are holding. Admiral Chen nodded, her expression stern but determined. The quantum stabilizers are performing as expected. We've bought ourselves time, but we need to move faster. The display showed the tears in reality that humanity had warned about, rifts in spacetime that threatened to unravel the very fabric of the universe. But surrounding each rift were networks of human technology, containing the damage and slowly repairing the damage. We never imagined. Zexthor's crystalline form pulsed with mixed emotions. All those centuries we thought we were the advanced ones, the civilized ones. Yet we were children playing with forces we didn't understand. Don't be too hard on yourselves, Chen replied, her voice softening. Every species follows its own path. We just happened to discover these dangers earlier, through our own near-catastrophic mistakes. That's why we withdrew, to find solutions without risking the rest of the galaxy. Around them, the command center hummed with activity. Mechanical collective units worked alongside organic species, their combined processing power directed at predicting and preventing rift formations. Hive mind delegates shared their vast collective consciousness to coordinate defense fleets. Even the traditionally isolationist crystal kingdoms had joined the effort, their unique ability to manipulate quantum states proving invaluable. The latest simulation results are ready, announced Tal, the ancient scholar now serving as head of the Joint Research Division. The holographic display shifted, showing thousands of possible futures branching out like a vast tree. The good news, Tal continued, is that our chances of success have improved from 43% to 67% since implementing the human-designed quantum stabilization network. The bad news is that we're seeing new types of rifts forming in previously stable regions. Admiral Chen stepped forward, her uniform shimming with subtle technological enhancements. Show me the anomalous formations. The display zoomed in on several regions where reality itself seemed to be folding in ways that defied conventional physics. Even with humanity's advanced understanding, these new phenomena presented fresh challenges. We're learning too, Chen admitted, studying the data. Every new rift pattern, every unexpected formation teaches us something. This isn't just about survival anymore, it's about evolution. All of us, together, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. A sudden alert drew everyone's attention. One of the largest rifts had begun to pulse with new energy patterns. But instead of panic, the command center erupted into coordinated action. Species that had been bitter enemies just a year ago now worked in perfect harmony, each contributing their unique abilities to address the crisis. Launch the phase arrays, Chen commanded. All species, all channels. Full spectrum response. The display showed thousands of ships moving into position, human vessels with their reality-bending technology, Vraxian ships channeling biological energy, Crystal Kingdom vessels focusing quantum harmonics, and dozens of other species each adding their own unique contributions to the effort. The rift pulsed once, twice, and then began to seal itself, the combined power of a united galaxy forcing reality back into proper alignment. We're stronger together, Zexthor observed, their crystalline form glowing with newfound understanding. Perhaps that was the greatest lesson humanity had to teach us. It's what we discovered during our absence, Chen agreed. True advancement doesn't come from competition or dominance. It comes from cooperation, from combining different perspectives and abilities toward a common goal. The command center fell quiet as the rift finally closed completely. It was another victory, but everyone knew it was just one battle in a much larger war. The universe itself was changing, evolving, and only by working together did they stand a chance of surviving what was to come. So what's next? Zexthor asked, though they suspected they knew the answer. Admiral Chen smiled, gesturing to the vast display of stars and species working together in ways that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. We keep pushing forward. We keep learning, adapting, growing. Together, we're not just fighting to survive, we're fighting to create something new. Something better than any single species could achieve alone. And in the depths of space, at the edges of known reality, the combined fleets of a united galaxy continued their endless watch, ready to face whatever new challenges the universe might present. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as teachers, guides, and partners in the greatest adventure any species had ever undertaken, the fight to save reality itself. The age of division was over. The age of unity had begun. And somewhere, in the spaces between spaces that humanity had learned to navigate, the calculations continued, plotting paths toward futures that no single species could imagine alone. The galaxy had changed forever, and its best days were yet to come.